All right, let's talk about money. What do you think matters more, being a genius or just being sensible? Today, we're jumping into the big ideas from Morgan Housel's amazing book, The Psychology of Money. We're going to find out why our behavior, not our brains, is what really counts when it comes to finance. You know, we're often told that to be good with money, you have to be some kind of math wizard with fancy degrees and a ton of spreadsheets. But what if that's just not true? What if the secret to building wealth isn't about what's in your head, but about how you act? For so long, we've treated finance like it's physics or chemistry, all numbers, data, and complicated formulas. But the truth? Being good with money is actually a soft skill. It's about things you can't really plug into a calculator, like patience, being humble, and just your own personal behavior. So here's what we're going to cover today. We'll look at the big money myth, how our brains are wired to think about money, those hidden forces of luck and risk, why the slow path is the smart path, and finally, the huge difference between being rich and actually being wealthy. Okay, let's dive right into our first big idea, the money myth. And it's a simple one, but it's kind of profound. It's this idea that your relationship with money has way more to do with your psychology than your IQ. Think about it like this. You could have a janitor who just quietly saves a little bit of his paycheck every single month, and he could easily end up wealthier than a hotshot executive who's buried in debt because of his ego. See, it's not about the size of your paycheck, it's about what you do with it. Your feelings, your past experiences, those are the things really pulling the strings. All right, next up, your brain on money. This one's really interesting because it explains why some financial choices can look absolutely crazy to one person, but make perfect, logical sense to the person actually making them. Here's the thing. Your own personal experiences with money, even though they're just a tiny, tiny fraction of what's happened in the world, they basically form almost your entire belief system about how money works. So if you grew up poor during a recession, your idea of risk is going to be completely different from someone who grew up during a huge economic boom. And neither of you is wrong. You're both just operating from your own little slice of reality that feels like the whole truth. And that brings us to something that can be a little hard to swallow, the unseen forces. I'm talking about two things that have a massive impact on our financial lives, but we often pretend they don't exist. And those are luck and risk. Look, not every success story is purely about hard work, just like not every story of poverty is about being lazy. Luck and risk are like two sides of the same coin. They're a constant reminder that we're not 100% in control of our outcomes. And once you really accept that, it's easier to be a bit more realistic and compassionate about your own situation and about other people's too. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about what might just be the most powerful force in all of finance. It's also one of the hardest things for our brains to grasp. I'm talking about the slow path to wealth and the magic of compounding. You know, we're all wired to want that lottery ticket moment, right? That one big, dramatic win that changes everything overnight. But that's not how real wealth is built. The secret isn't chasing some insane once-in-a-lifetime return. It's about getting good, solid returns year after year, and then just letting time do all the heavy lifting. Honestly, the hardest part is also the most crucial part, just being patient. And that's why patience is the real superpower here. For the first 10, maybe even 20 years, your progress can feel, well, kind of boring. It's slow. But then something amazing happens. It's like a rocket ship taking off. The growth curve suddenly shoots upward, and the results are just mind-blowing. Most of the real money is made at the very end of the line, which is exactly why thinking long-term is non-negotiable. This all leads us to our last big idea for today. And honestly, it might be the most important one. It's the huge difference between being rich and being wealthy. And trust me, they are not the same thing.
So what's being rich? Well, rich is what you see. It's the big paycheck. It's the flashy stuff, the fancy car, the huge house. You see someone driving a $100,000 car and you think, wow, that person's rich. But what do you actually know? All you know for sure is that they have $100,000 less than they did before they bought the car.
Wealth, on the other hand, wealth is what you don't see. It's the money that hasn't been spent yet. It's the assets that are working for you, quietly growing in the background, in stocks and bonds, not sitting in a driveway for everyone to look at.
Because at the end of the day, wealth isn't really about a dollar amount. It's about freedom. It's about having the option to wake up one morning and say, you know what, I can do whatever I want today. It's the power to deal with a sudden emergency without panicking, or to quit a job you hate, or to retire when you want to. And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this.
The real prize that money can buy isn't more stuff. It's control. It's getting to own your own time. That is, without a doubt, the highest dividend you'll ever get from your money. Okay, so we've gone through some pretty big ideas. Let's boil it all down into a few key takeaways you can actually use in your own financial life. First up, be humble when you win and be forgiving when you lose. When things go your way, remember that a little bit of luck was probably involved. And when things go wrong, remember that risk is always part of the game. It'll keep you from getting too cocky or too discouraged. Number 2, you have to know when to stop moving the goalposts. The danger of constantly wanting more is that you end up risking what you have and need for things you don't have and don't need. So figure out what enough looks like for you. That's the only way to get off the hamster wheel.
And last but not least, play the long game. Wealth isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's built slowly, brick by brick, over years of consistent saving and investing. Forget about hitting home runs this year. Focus on your savings rate and giving yourself a long runway. In the end, consistency beats intensity every single time.
So you see, this stuff isn't really about managing money. It's about managing yourself. And with that, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. After hearing all this, what's just one financial behavior, one little habit or assumption that you might start to look at differently? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.